a lot of people weren't real sure about what to make of the whole Xbox situation where Final Fantasy is concerned. And what I mean by that is pretty simple. Obviously, Final Fantasy games have been skipping Xbox as well as some other games from Square. They've had various deals with Sony to make sure that games were kind of locked to the exclusivity part of, Sony. So, a lot of people are kind of looking at this and going, okay, well, what does that mean when Square said, hey, they're going to be announcing new games and things like that for, and they're going to be coming to Xbox, the whole slate of them, etc., etc. Because let's just be real, Final Fantasy 16 underperformed. I mean, yes, initially it did well, and then fell off the face of the planet. Obviously, not having your games on every platform that you can put it on is hindering them and their financials, which is never a good thing. So this new, and I will just say, keep this as a rumor for right now, says that there's an exciting future for Square Enix games on Xbox. It could just be the full-blown everything. So it's been a few months now since Square Enix announced plans to partner closely with Xbox in the future, but we haven't really heard much about these plans aside from next year's arrivals of Final Fantasy XIV and Octopath Traveler 2. Speaking on a podcast, Windows Central's Jez Gordon revealed that he's been hearing some positive things about the partnership lately that have left him much more optimistic about what's to come. He says, and I quote, "I was initially thinking it's just going to be games like Octopath Traveler 2, it's going to be Pixel Remaster maybe, and Final Fantasy XIV. I don't think it's going to be any of the heavy hitters like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, or Final Fantasy XVI. But I've heard that it actually could be the full-blown everything, so I'm hearing positive things about that. So stay tuned. It's just going to take some time because those games haven't been in development, but now maybe they will be." In a follow-up, Gordon explained how he's suddenly become optimistic about the partnership. Somebody had said to him it wasn't very long before the announcement of the Xbox and Square partnership that Jez had a grim or doom and gloom outlook regarding Xbox and Square. There was even some Game Pass blame. What changed about the sources? And he says his personal pessimism versus new sources. Obviously, Xbox fans have been waiting years for new Final Fantasy games to finally make their way to the platforms, and it sounds like a real possibility that we could be playing them in the not-too-distant future. We're also hoping that there will be fewer PlayStation-timed exclusives to come out of Square Enix in years to come. For now, it's nice to know that we've got Final Fantasy XIV and Octopath Traveler 2 on the way in 2024, and surely Square Enix will have a few more games to bring to the Xbox Series X and S at some point next year. But this is really good news to see that this is happening, because it's a definite step in the right direction. So yeah, nice to see that, they're kind of listening. Listen, if you're a third party, and I say this with all due respect, what the hell are you doing not bringing your games to everything? And this speaks to some of the games that come to, Xbox first as well. It does not really make a whole lot of sense to skip anything these days, right? That's the way things are going. It just does not make any sense whatsoever to do that. And so you want your games on as much as possible, because if you're a third party, then you've probably got some investors and things like that to sort of, go out there and talk about things with. So, obviously it's going to make sense to do that. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it and go, okay, well, they did manage to sell whatever it is, 8 million units, or no, 3 million units, excuse me, almost right away, and then it fell off the face of the planet. So when we look at this, I do think that it's one of those things that honestly happens, and it's realistically kind of a shame, to be honest with you. Again, I honestly feel like things have while we got better looking games right now than we ever have, we're also sitting at a particular point in time where, the games, I don't know, they're better looking, but are they better games? I think that's the part that a lot of people are struggling with. And that's why, when I say stuff like, hey, listen, I am a gamer that 100% prefers, the golden age of the 360, PS3, kind of Wii era. I feel like that was the best era of gaming, and I don't even think it's close, to be quite honest about it, because if you just think about the amount of games we got, and we got lots of sequels, true, but I was I never felt bad, or I never felt like, I was missing out on something that generation. Yeah, the generation ran on a little bit too long, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like it was necessarily a bad thing, and I also don't feel that it was something that hampered long term. And what I mean by that is I just think that it's a situation where having the longer generation, yeah, there's some people that maybe got a PC instead or something like that. I would never do that because I'm a console gamer, but you can understand why some people did do that, and I have nothing against that, right? To be honest with you, like, if you only care about the graphics and stuff because the games are playing exactly the same, then more power to you, man. I don't buy consoles. I mean, I like nice looking graphics, but I don't buy them specifically because it's like, oh my gosh, the best. It's nice to see nice looking graphics, but I think, for me personally, and maybe some of you guys know this, I can sit back there and play a PS3 or an Xbox 360 game and just enjoy the hell out of it and play it from start to end, and I'm not sitting there going, oh man, this looks really horrible. Now, there are sometimes you get like some of that screen tearing and things like that, where it's a little bit unfortunate, but for the majority of the best times of my life, I was playing these games, so realistically, it's not such a big deal to me. And, again, I think it's interesting when people sort of talk about these types of things. Now, listen, seeing that Final Fantasy will finally come to Xbox, I think that's fantastic. Obviously, Microsoft is working their way around kind of getting all these different types of content and pieces of games and things like that. I think that that's exactly what we're going to be kind of looking towards. And, for me personally, I think that makes the most amount of sense from where they're coming from. So, from where I'm seeing this, it makes the most sense to actually add, and probably PC too. Like, if you are trying to make the best game you can and you want it to do as best as it can, it only makes sense to, put the games on everything. Put it on PC, put it on Xbox, put it on PlayStation. Hell, if you can get a version up on Switch, why not do it there too? Like, that to me makes a ton of sense, and hopefully we get that in the future from them, because it just honestly makes zero freaking sense not to. Like Final Fantasy, that used to be a huge franchise, and people on Xbox will play it. I know people want to down Xbox or say, oh well, they'll only play it if it's on Game Pass or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I think you've got, whatever the case may be, 25-30 million Xbox Series owners out there willing to, and there's obviously going to be some that are going to be willing to buy this, whatever. Even if maybe it doesn't sell 3 million, maybe it sells 500,000 or 1 million. That's more than you had, right? You put it on PC too, maybe it sells a few million on there as well. That's obviously going to be better for the company, for their investors, for them in the long run, than just putting it on PlayStation. I don't care how much money PlayStation's reimbursing you. It doesn't really matter. And listen, this is the same type of thing for Xbox, right? Like, that's why first party is so important, in my opinion, because first party is the stuff that pretty much isn't going to go nowhere. Obviously, there's some, asterisks next to that, like Call of Duty is going to be on PlayStation, and, Destiny and Marathon are going to be on Xbox, even though it's Bungie. But, it's going to be just one of those weird things. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. Are you excited for these Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox? Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.